Okay, let's talk about one more marquee matchup for the weekend. It is the weekend of the Red River Rivalry, Oklahoma versus Texas. A little bit of luster potentially off of this one for a couple of different reasons. So the Mateer situation, number one, is he in? Is he out? I think that's still technically a question mark. Heard some scuttlebutt about whether he might be able to come back for this one or not. And then obviously from the Texas side, fallen out of the graces of sort of the national love fest that's been going on with them all year, coming off that loss to Florida. Now unranked. And I don't know, Steve, this is not exactly the game I would want from Texas standpoint as like a bounce back game. Like this is a crazy good Oklahoma defense, right? And you saw the struggles that Arch and co had against Florida and in that matchup here. So this OUD is elite. It's our number one defensive rated success team. Our number 2 echo rate over expected. Like it is just top to bottom going to be a tough road for Arch and co. But again, like how with the Mateer situation, I think the market's price that he's not going to be in. I don't know what you guys think, because it opened at -3. It's sitting at that kind of 1.5 mark now. So we'll see if or how much it moves if he's ever ruled in officially. But yeah, I mean, is this going to be another ugly loss for Texas?
You said this is not a good bounce back game. The only bouncing is going to be Texas falling, hitting the rock bottom from last week, and then their body bouncing up a little bit and hitting the ground again here. Like,
call that a dead cat bounce in the financial market.
Absolutely not. I mean, Arch Manning has looked absolutely shaky at best over his tenure for the most part here. Sacked 7 times against Florida, pressured on 61% of his dropbacks against his O-line that, we always talk about, Texas, Ohio State, Bama, having them dudes and be able to replace them dudes with no problem. But this O-line has replaced 4 starters, and they do not look as confident or as qualified as they did last year. And that is extremely concerning when you have a quarterback who is just not consistently making smart and accurate plays here. And there was damn near a QB controversy at the end of the Florida game when the backup Matthew Caldwell came in, and they had a little bit of a spark there. People saying, "Oh, well, should we bench Arch for Caldwell?" Which, man, how the mighty have fallen here. And so when you talk about Mateer, let's talk about this for a second. He had the injury in the throwing hand, the bone fracture. They had the surgery. They said he maybe could miss a month. Now they're saying he maybe could be playing. Oklahoma's moved practice inside so no one can see him throw. But here's what no one's talking about, right? Mateer injured his hand in the first quarter of that Auburn game. He then went on to throw a touchdown pass in the second quarter. He then went on to lead a game-winning drive in the fourth quarter. So he's hurt. Yeah, he had the surgery, but is he really going to be that effective if he can play? Now, of course, we will see, right? Because he had the injury and now the surgery as well. But I'm not buying that this is going to be some 30% of his former self Mateer if he does play. I think you get a pretty close to a healthy or at least a serviceable at worst starter. But even if he doesn't, I'm going to talk about this in the next section for off the numbers, because I actually have Oklahoma money line here. People are going to talk about Michael Hawkins, the backup, in this game they played last year. And these are 2 completely different scenarios. The last thing I'll leave here for this segment here is, even if you have the offensive question marks, what you don't have is the defensive question mark, because the Oklahoma defense is for real. 2nd in sacks, 16 in run defense. And if Florida had their way, imagine what Oklahoma is going to do here. I don't see a pathway forward for Texas's offense to do anything. Now, I will argue, to play devil's advocate, Texas defense is legit. They could do something, but I'm not buying this idea that Texas offense is going to be of any match for this.
All right, yeah, Seth, the Mateer question notwithstanding, I mean, this is a defense, like, you mentioned, defense is going to be front and center all game long, no matter, I think, which quarterback starts for Oklahoma. But is there any, like, what's the route here for Texas to win and or at least cover?
Well, I mean, Oklahoma is better than Texas in every single category, and we make this number -5 Texas. Texas is favored in our numbers, and this is the reality of why. Priors. When you're looking at college football, you need to understand who this team was the year before. This team is a team full of dudes. Yes, they lost a lot, but they're number 4 overall talent roster. This is the biggest game in their season, likely, if they're not going to make the playoffs. And I don't know that it matters if Mateer his hand is really hurt. They're a run-first offense, 16% run rate over expected. This is a team that runs 16% more than an average team. They're not looking to throw it. So I don't know that it matters. I'm sure they're going to cast his hand up and just run the damn ball. That's what they were basically doing anyways. It's really difficult to understand what the pathway here for Texas is, but just knowing that they have a lot of talent, I don't think it's going to be with Arch. 83 number 83 ranked offensive passing team for Texas going up against our #1 pass defense in Oklahoma. So I don't think the success is going to come there, but it's hard to see the rush game. 73rd best offensive rush team for Texas going up against the 19th best rushing defense in Oklahoma. So the success is going to be tricky, but if there is going to be a game where you got a 5-star that should be able to come out, look, Lagway is a 5-star that's been struggling that came out against Texas. So why can't Arch do it here? If this is a rivalry game, this is a big game. A lot of people are going to get up for it. If there is something that Texas should be able to wake them up, this is the game. Now, is that going to happen? It's really hard to feel like it is.
Sure.
But I just want to, priors, right? Why didn't Miami win the national championship, right? They were killing everybody, right? At some point, you come back to earth about who you were the year before. The year before has some amount of information in it. Why aren't we high on Florida State? Florida State came soaring high. Now all of a sudden they're coming back a little bit. So I just want to point this out that regression to the mean for Texas looks like they actually get a little bit better.
Can I make one quick point, and I'll say the rest are off the numbers here.
Sure.
The point Seth made, if you guys are watching, is so fundamentally true, and we have learned that, and it's been a saving grace from doing this for the last 3 years. I will argue, though, I think Oklahoma, if there were ever an exception to last year priors or rolling 15 games and prior, Oklahoma is the exception because they were decimated with injury last year, which is why they could get nothing on offense. And I'll talk a little bit more about that from a narrative side. But I'm with you, though. I do agree. I don't want to just let's not get all crazy here. Texas does have dudes, and they can turn it on. But I'm with you, Seth. It is hard to find a pathway forward in this one game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Now, this is the one I'm happy we're not betting.